Greetings and a very warm welcome to all of my friends at the Scriptorium and the University of British Columbia. I'm just delighted about this event that's happening, the grand opening. Delighted also to be a part of it, although I wish I could be there in person. I'm happy to join you at least for a few minutes here online as I'm able to do so. The Scriptorium is just a wonderful development. I was so happy when I first learned about it. My name is Karl Johnson. I'm the executive director of the Consortium of Christian Study Centers. And for those of you who don't know, you should know that you are not alone. There are 35 Christian study centers now in North America. And so you are connected to a network of folks with similar interests and pursuing similar projects. And I would like to just take a couple of minutes of your time this evening to tell you a little bit more about that. People ask me all the time, what exactly is a Christian study center? And there are surely several different ways that question could be answered. But a few of the things that I like to share along those lines are this. Christian study centers, although they have all sorts of different programming that expresses their mission, at their core, their mission has to do with the integration of faith and learning. What do we mean by that? Well, part of it is a commitment to the life of the mind, a commitment that all university students ideally should have. But we have that commitment in the broader context of a commitment to following Jesus Christ, which of course all Christians should have. It's not always easy to hold these things together in an integral kind of a way, but that's what we aspire to. We aspire to integrate the life of faith and the life of the mind. I'm reminded of a great C.S. Lewis quote that I'm very fond of. He once said that I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it, I see everything else. And what he captures so nicely in that quote is that Christianity is not just something that you can study, but in addition to being an object of study, it can also function as a lens of study. It's something that you can look through and which illumines more of the world than we would otherwise get to see. Some theologians like John Polkinghorne, drawing on the work of Augustine, has referred to this as a binocular kind of vision that we see not only through the lens of science, but also through the lens of faith. So that's really the project that's at the core, the educational core of a Christian study center. But there's more to it than that, because this work unfolds in a particular context or a particular place, which is to say the university, what we sometimes call the secular university, or what we might call a pluralistic university, a place where not everybody shares the same core faith commitments. And that matters to the work that we do. We aspire to come alongside universities in their mission to discover and disseminate knowledge. And we have good theological grounds for doing this. After all, the doctrine of common grace tells us that God has given wisdom to all those who are created in his image. And that gives us a very strong rationale for learning from scholars as well as fellow students who themselves do not profess Christian faith. So we're in a good place to do this work. And as we do it, an additional purpose that we have is to bear witness to God and to his kingdom. So why do we do these things? We do them to glorify God, but we also do them out of love for our neighbor and a desire to serve our neighbor. And that's important because Christian study centers exist not just to serve Christian students, but they exist for the common good, the welfare, and the flourishing of the entire university of which they're about. It's not just an individualistic kind of a mission or a vision to help Christian students grow, although that's part of it, but it's to gather and unify the Christian community as well as to serve the larger institutions of which we're a part. Once again, I'm really thrilled to watch from a distance what's happening up there in British Columbia. I do hope I can come visit sometime. And just a quick word about the larger movement to which you are all now connected. As I mentioned, there are 35 of these centers. Many of them are in the eastern United States. Many of them are at large public universities, but they're at all different kinds of institutions, some of them smaller than others. Some of the study centers themselves are large operations. Many of them are still quite small operations. It's a relatively new movement. Depending on how you count, it got started maybe on the order of about 50 years or so ago with the original center at the University of Virginia, but really picking up a little bit more momentum about 20 years ago. And over the last 20 years, we've seen a flourishing of these centers. And that is a movement whose story has been told in a recent book called To Think Christianly. And you all are now also a part of that story. So welcome. Your event looks terrific. I'm pleased to see that you have President Ono providing a keynote. I love the theme, faith-seeking understanding. We talk about that all the time, and I look forward to hearing more about your good work in the weeks and months and years to come. Thank you very much, and all best wishes.